This is the original staircase for the squash court. And there used to just be a viewing balcony across here.
You get a good feel of the place.
One of my really early pieces of wood carving, and Henry Moore has handled this one. In fact, he looked at it and handled it quite a lot, and then he said, it's very nice, but it's time you found your own visual language. They don't relate directly, but they're fiddling with different materials. I do draw a lot, and I did think of putting drawings with the sculptures, but they didn't seem to relate particularly well. My working drawings are scribbles on bits of paper, which aren't really presentable, and my presentable drawings don't seem to be much to do with my sculpture. I did a stone carving when I was a student, and I found it extremely boring and slow, and wasn't a medium that I could get ideas out quickly enough. Well, I did one carving and thought that's enough of that. I've done quite a lot of wood carving over the years. My wife died 4 years ago, and I spent a year sort of a bit footloose, not knowing quite what to do with my life. And somebody said, "Oh, why don't you go and see Patrick and about Pure Form," which is a group he runs in the specifically stone carving. Most of the stone carvings down there are the result of that work over the last 3 years, really. They're all limestones. They mostly come from the Cathedral Stone Yard, because they get their limestone from France. There are two quarries, the Caen and the Lepine, and they're both fine white limestones which harden after they've been carved. The surface becomes hard through effect of the atmosphere on it, so it's quite soft to carve. A couple of years later it's got a really hard surface. The Lepine in particular is almost like cast plaster. You can carve it with wood carving tools, anything will cut into it, and then it gets harder afterwards. But the others need stone carving tools. When I decide that it's been taken far enough, sometimes I'm quite happy to leave tool marks in the stone. Other times I want something much smoother, and I will rub that down and abrade all the tool marks away. Sometimes it's a bit of a mixture of both. That's just the result of the processing of the stone, really, and what I feel is sufficient. That it doesn't need to be taken any further. A friend of mine who gets some materials from Holland brought back this stuff called stone oil, or whatever the Dutch is for stone oil, and she said, "Why don't you try this? It gives the stone a bit more character." So I did, and it looks yellow because I've actually stained that one a bit. And it went too yellow and it became kind of greasy looking. But I then rubbed it back again. It got to that state which it is in now, which I quite like. A lot of what I do is reactive to whatever the stone is suggesting. And funnily enough, two torsos actually started off as a single piece of stone. I was working on it and it broke in half. So I thought, what can I do with these two small pieces of stone? And it just kind of developed. When you do a lot of model making, you become accustomed to working to a particular scale, and you actually start imagining yourself as a little figure in an architectural setting. And when I put those two together, I thought of it would be nice to walk between them, you see, and I thought, well, they'd look great 18 foot high. It would be wonderful to have a sort of journey through them. The sort of artist I am, I react to the medium that I'm working with or the materials I'm working with, and I'm not imposing on them any kind of particular philosophy. For me, I'm purely a maker. I just like making stuff, I like doing it rather than thinking about it almost. Suddenly it seems I can't get enough of it, you know, I have to go on carving stone now. It's very, very satisfying.